If you're hearing this now, it's not a coincidence, it's a confirmation. Heaven has already begun the release. You didn't ask for this season, but it has arrived, not because of your qualifications, not because of your timing, but because the time appointed by God has come. You've been in a place of hiddenness, a place where you questioned whether your faith was still enough. You saw others advancing while your hands stayed empty. You watched the doors stay closed no matter how hard you knocked. But hear this now. The delay was not denial. It was divine preservation. God was not punishing you. He was preparing the path. Because what's coming to you cannot be mishandled, misused, or misread. You are not being given something small. You are being entrusted with rivers. These rivers are not metaphors. They are movements. Streams of resources, favor, and supernatural timing flowing from the throne of grace directly into your life. And the reason they're flowing now is because your name has been marked in the Spirit as one who can carry kingdom abundance without becoming corrupted by it. The wealth that is moving toward you is not a reward for effort. It is a result of alignment. You didn't earn this, you aligned with it. You kept your posture when others folded. You stayed quiet when you could have fought back. You chose obedience over performance. And now the heavens are responding. Chosen one, your provision is no longer coming in drops. It's coming in waves. The rivers of wealth are flowing not toward the crowd, but toward the covenant. And you are the covenant bearer. God says, I am opening financial rivers, not for your comfort, but for your commissioning. You are not being blessed to build a kingdom of your own. You are being resourced to execute heaven's agenda. This is why the warfare increased. This is why the pressure was unbearable. Because the enemy knew that if you survived that drought, you would become unstoppable in the overflow. And you did. You're still here, still standing, still listening. That is proof that nothing could dam up the rivers prepared for you. But hear this clearly. Just because the wealth is flowing doesn't mean you can afford to become careless. Stay ready. Stay set apart. Stay sensitive to the Spirit. The enemy's last attempt will be to distract you in the moment of release, but he's already lost. What God has ordained cannot be delayed any longer. You are not entering into a financial season. You are stepping into a financial identity. This is not something that's coming and going. This is a shift that redefines your life from this day forward. You will no longer pursue provision. Provision will pursue you. From business ideas to divine partnerships, from unexpected deposits to supernatural cancellations of debt, it's all beginning now. And because you've made it this far, because you did not bow to fear, I need you to take one prophetic step of agreement right now, like this video. Subscribe to this channel, and comment below with the number 55, the number of divine alignment, covenant, and new beginning. Not because numbers have power, but because obedience opens portals. This act will seal this word over your life. Get ready. The rivers are flowing. Stay positioned, stay clean, stay focused. What once seemed impossible is now inevitable. You've been asking when it would happen, watching the calendar, counting the costs, trying to forecast the moment breakthrough would finally arrive. But heaven has never moved by calendar. It moves by covenant. And your covenant has now reached its appointed manifestation. The rivers you're seeing open before you were not born from effort. They were born from endurance. God has been watching how you handled what looked like lack, knowing that how you stewarded the drought would determine how you flow in the flood. You didn't wither. You worshipped. You didn't complain. You consecrated. That posture is what turned the tide. This wealth that is arriving is not for display. It's for destiny. You are not being enriched for the applause of men. You are being elevated for the advancement of divine purpose. Some will try to imitate the outward result without walking through the inner refinement. But the difference will be clear. Yours will last. Theirs will collapse. Because what God is releasing is not just money, it's movement, it's legacy, it's territory. It's the kind of provision that rewrites family lines and changes nations. You are stepping into a stream that doesn't just bless, it builds. It builds infrastructure in the Spirit. It builds bridges where others have burned them. It builds opportunities for the forgotten. It builds access for the anointed. This is not the season to play small. This is not the time to tone down your obedience. God did not preserve you through all that pain so you could hide now that the release has come. You've been trusted with wealth that must be activated, not hoarded. Your instructions are clear. Use it to multiply kingdom impact. Use it to restore. Use it to plant. Use it to open what religion has closed. You'll begin to notice that people are drawn to you in this season, not because of charisma, but because of your clarity. They'll sense the oil on your decisions, the peace on your pace, the fire in your focus. This is what favor looks like. It isn't loud, but it's unmistakable. You'll no longer need to force conversations or fight for platforms. Your provision will become your platform. And be careful, not every door that opens is anointed. In this wealth flow, discernment must become your companion. Just because it glitters doesn't mean it's God. There will be invitations that are sent to dilute your assignment. Decline them. Every decision must pass through the filter. Does this protect the rivers or pollute them? You are now walking in a realm where delays will collapse and acceleration will become normal. What took others 10 years will take you 10 weeks, not because you are better, but because the timing is prophetic. When God releases rivers, He bypasses the rules. Get used to sudden yeses, unexpected approvals, swift releases. It will feel unfamiliar, but it is not foreign to your spirit. This is what you were built for. And remember this, wealth is not your destination. It is your vehicle. It was never the goal. It was always the gear to get you to your greater assignment. You are not blessed just to enjoy life. You are blessed to enforce light. Let every dollar that flows to you be a declaration of God's dominion on earth. You've crossed the threshold now. The wilderness is behind you. The Jordan has been passed, and ahead lies the land you were promised, flowing, fertile, and full. Not because of your might, but because of His mercy. Let every step you take from here on out be marked by gratitude, by wisdom, and by unstoppable obedience. You are ready, not because you feel ready, but because the rivers would not be flowing if heaven did not already decree that you could carry them. Many have tried to define you by seasons that no longer apply. They looked at your drought and assumed it was your destiny. But what they didn't see was the covenant you carried. They didn't hear the prayers you whispered in private. They didn't witness the nights you stood in faith when everything in your life said to give up. And now as the rivers begin to rise, the evidence will speak louder than any defense ever could. This is the hour of divine reversal. Where you were once the borrower, you shall now become the lender. Where you were once overlooked, you will now be sought after. Where you were once disqualified, you will now be endorsed by heaven. But hear this, you are not being vindicated just for your own relief. You are being revealed for heaven's agenda. God is not just supplying you with resources, He is announcing you through them. Every stream that flows toward you now is a prophetic signpost. The chosen one has stepped into their assignment, and the world must take notice. Not because you are loud, but because your fruit cannot be denied. There is a rhythm to this wealth. It is not chaotic, it is not rushed, it flows with precision, and you must flow with it. Move when He says move, sow when He says sow, pause when He says pause. Because in this season, obedience is wealth, disobedience is loss. You no longer live under the systems of the world. You are operating under a higher economy. This is the economy of the kingdom, where seed multiplies without delay, where ideas are downloaded in dreams and become income in the natural, where connections happen at divine speed, where what was once hard becomes easy, not because life has changed, but because you've changed dimensions. And with this shift comes responsibility. You cannot return to old habits. You cannot afford old mindsets. What you say now matters. What you think now shapes outcomes. What you tolerate now becomes what you inherit. Guard your gates. Guard your words. Guard your momentum. The rivers are not flowing to elevate your comfort. They are flowing to expose your calling. You are called to govern in areas where you once only survived. You are called to build where you once begged. You are called to lead where you once followed in silence. God is not just blessing you, He is entrusting you. This wealth is a weapon, a witness, a warning to the enemy that you have outlived his attacks. You will begin to notice how even your thoughts attract provision. You'll think about a need, and it will be met. You'll speak about a vision, and the provision will appear. This is not fantasy. This is favor. and it is functioning now because you are in alignment, not ambition. From this moment forward, wealth will not be about accumulation. It will be about acceleration. God is giving you the capacity to do in months what would have taken others years. Not to boast, but to birth. Because there are things He has placed inside you that must be built now. The hour is urgent. The mission is real. The time is short. You are not being enriched to sit back. You are being empowered to rise up. The river is flowing, not to your feet, but to your hands. It's time to build. It's time to steward. It's time to multiply what heaven is pouring out, not with fear, not with striving, but with a quiet authority that says, I have been chosen, and I have been made ready. The floodgates are open. Let nothing in you resist it. Let everything in you respond. This is the flow you were born for. This is not just about money, this is about movement. What is flowing into your life is not just wealth, it is divine velocity. Things are going to shift quickly now. Connections, approvals, opportunities, they will arrive unannounced and undeniable. But listen closely. Acceleration is only safe for those who are anchored. And you, chosen one, are being anchored now in deeper trust, in higher wisdom, in unshakable obedience. The speed of this season will demand stillness in your spirit. Do not let the rapid flow around you disrupt the calm within you. When the rivers rise, your discernment must rise higher. You must know what to build and what to bless, and you must know the difference. Not every idea is yours to pursue. Not every platform is yours to stand on. Not every door is yours to enter. God is giving you wealth with instruction. And if you heed that instruction, the rivers will not just flow, and they will sustain. This wealth is generational. It is not designed to peak and crash. It is meant to rise and remain. But it will require a level of maturity that does not measure success by applause, but by obedience. It will require the kind of purity that refuses to trade divine assignment for public attention. You are being called into the kind of stewardship that makes room for miracles. God is placing wealth in your hands not just to meet needs, but to create atmospheres where lack is broken, where faith is ignited, where people who've never seen provision begin to believe again. You are not just a receiver, you are a releaser. The rivers are coming with purpose. This is your time to fund what God is doing in the earth, to become the answer to prayers others have been too weary to pray out loud. You are not just being blessed, you are becoming the blesser. You are not just being delivered from debt, you are being positioned to cancel the debts of others. This is covenant wealth, not cultural wealth. This is kingdom flow, not fleeting fame. And do not worry about how it will all come together. The pressure is not on you, it's on the promise. And the promise has already been sealed. Your only job is to stay ready, to stay awake, to stay aligned. You will know when to move, and you will not miss what is meant for you. You'll find yourself at the right tables in the right conversations and holding the right keys, not because of strategy, but because of spirit. God is making you magnetic to miracles, and the wealth coming to you now is evidence that heaven trusts you with the weight of glory. This is not income, this is influence. Your decisions now must be rooted in destiny. Spend with wisdom, invest with insight, give with boldness, save with vision. You are not operating under fear anymore. The poverty mindsets have been broken. The scarcity cycles have been shattered. You are no longer surviving. You are flowing. Every bill paid, every vision funded, every need met, every seed multiplied. This is not wishful thinking. This is prophetic alignment, and your life will be the proof that God does not lie. So stay ready, chosen one. The river is not slowing down. It's picking up force, and everything that has been held back, every resource, every opportunity, every release is now rushing toward you. Not one drop will be wasted. There will be moments where it feels surreal. You'll look around and barely recognize your life, not because you've changed locations, but because the atmosphere around you has shifted. What once felt tight will now feel spacious. What once required begging will now come by instruction. This is not elevation through effort. This is inheritance by identity. You are not living in luck, you are living in lineage. Heaven wrote this wealth into your story before you were born. And now that you've passed through the refining fire, you are prepared to hold what others would have fumbled. The rivers of wealth are not coming to flatter you. They're coming to confirm who you are, a trusted vessel of divine abundance. So let your hands be open, but let your heart stay bowed. Let your vision expand, but let your humility deepen. The most dangerous posture in this season is pride disguised as progress. You must remember, what's being poured into your life is not a reward for performance. It's the result of God's covenant promise. And because He cannot lie, He must release what He ordained. That's why resistance has fallen away. That's why things that were once impossible are now unfolding with ease. Not because the opposition disappeared, but because your alignment has silenced the opposition. You're not fighting for breakthrough anymore. You're walking in what's already been broken open. You'll begin to speak differently now. Think differently. Move differently. Because wealth is not just changing your environment, it's changing your internal landscape. Gone are the days where fear dictated your decisions. Gone are the nights where anxiety led your planning. You are now governed by peace, and peace is your confirmation. And for those who question the shift, who look at your rise and whisper with suspicion, do not waste your breath explaining. Your fruit will answer their doubts. Let the results speak, let the peace speak, let the transformation speak. You have nothing to prove and everything to steward. You will begin to attract people with kingdom vision, builders, creators, pioneers who have been waiting for someone like you to rise. And together, you will multiply what was once a seed into streams. You will build systems that dismantle scarcity. You will restore trust in places where only trauma lived. You will show what wealth looks like when it is placed in sanctified hands. This is the hour where the righteous rise in resource. The world will watch as God bypasses the qualified and pours out on the obedient. Not because He plays favorites, but because He honors those who refuse to bow to Babylon's system. And you, chosen one, refused to bow. You stayed pure, you stayed planted, you stayed pressing forward when every voice told you to stop. And now, the reward is visible, not just to you, but to all who saw your pain. They will now witness your prosperity, not as a show, but as a sign that heaven keeps its word. Let the rivers flow through every area of your life, through your business, your ministry, your family, your future. Let them wash away every trace of lack, every scar of survival. You are not in the recovery stage anymore. You are in the overflow. As you walk in this new flow, don't forget what it cost. Remember the nights you cried, not because you lacked money, but because you lacked clarity. Remember the days where doors closed and you questioned if you had misheard God. Those moments were not punishment, they were preservation. God was not denying you, He was detoxing you, stripping away the illusions of the world so you could be ready for this kind of reality. This wealth doesn't just change numbers, it changes narratives. You're not here to repeat history, you're here to rewrite it. Generational cycles of poverty, anxiety, and fear end with you. You're not just receiving a harvest, you're reversing a curse. The silence of past generations who endured without options is now replaced by your voice, a voice that declares, "It ends here, and abundance begins now." You will not waste this moment. You will not squander the rivers, because your hands are not only ready, your heart is too. There's a grace resting on you now for supernatural stewardship. You will know where to place every dollar, every resource, every opportunity. You will not be confused. You will not be overwhelmed. The same Spirit that led you through the wilderness is now guiding you through the wealth. This is what many miss. Wealth requires just as much obedience as lack, and in some ways even more. Because when you no longer feel desperate, you must choose devotion. When you're not driven by need, you must be led by assignment. That's where you are now, in the realm where discipline matters more than desire. And here's what's next. Expect divine interruption. Don't be surprised when God asks you to do something radical, to give more than what's comfortable, to bless someone who cannot repay you, to start something that others consider impossible. This is what happens when the rivers of wealth flow to a faithful vessel. They don't stop. They multiply. They overflow. Your assignment is no longer just about impact. It's about legacy. The way you steward this wealth will determine what your children and their children inherit. You are laying foundations now that generations will stand upon. And because of that, God is going to show you how to build in ways you've never seen. You'll receive instructions from heaven that override earthly experience, strategies that defy logic but produce undeniable results. You're not just favored, you're fortified. You're not just resourced, you're responsible. And in this responsibility, there will be reward. Not just in what you receive, but in the joy of what you release. Because the greatest proof of wealth is not in how much you keep, but in how freely you give. This flow is not fragile. It's not fleeting. It is permanent because it is prophetic. And every time you question whether it's too good to be true, remind yourself, it's not too good. It's just on time. You didn't miss it. You didn't delay it. You're not late. You're right where you're supposed to be, at the edge of the river and now fully submerged in its current. Now comes the unveiling, the moment where your life begins to speak louder than any prophecy ever spoken over you. The evidence is undeniable. The hand of God is all over what you're building, what you're carrying, and what you're walking into. You no longer need permission to prosper. You've already been authorized by heaven. There is no shame in what you're receiving. No guilt for outgrowing spaces that were never meant to contain you. Some won't understand how quickly things are turning in your favor, but that's because they never saw the years you sowed in silence. You gave when it hurt. You served when it was unseen. You stayed faithful when it made no sense. And now that kind of obedience is yielding a harvest no man can stop. Don't minimize what God is doing. Don't dim your light for those who refuse to rise. You weren't called to blend in. You were called to be a living contradiction. Abundance in the middle of what the world calls recession. Joy in a culture addicted to chaos. Clarity while others are drowning in confusion. That contrast is your confirmation. You are not of this world's system. You are of kingdom stock. The river has not only changed what you have, it's changed who you are. You see differently now. You discern faster. You decide with deeper authority. That's the fruit of refinement. You've been trained for this. Every delay, every detour, every dry season taught your spirit how to manage what's now flowing toward you. And in this flow, time bends. What should have taken a decade happens in a year. What should have been impossible suddenly lands in your lap. Not because you chased it, but because you were chosen for it. This is not luck. This is the law of divine alignment. When God opens a river, even the impossible becomes common. You're not walking into miracles by accident. You are becoming the miracle others have prayed for. When you show up, breakthrough shows up. When you speak, confusion lifts. When you give, chains break. You carry more than wealth. You carry authority. And that authority didn't come from a title. It came from surviving what should have destroyed you. You are not who you used to be. And that's why you cannot go back. Not to old environments, not to old thinking, not to old fears. The river has rerouted your life permanently. Let it take you all the way. Don't reach back, don't apologize for the elevation. Don't shrink to make others comfortable. This is the beginning of generational abundance. You are the first to carry it, but you will not be the last. Because of your obedience, your children and those connected to your lineage will walk under an open heaven. They will not start where you started. They will start where you finish. That's the power of inheritance. That's the promise of the river. And now the overflow begins to make sense. You look around and see not just answered prayers, but divine patterns. It was never about what you lacked. It was about what you were becoming. Every setback was a setup. Every silence was a signal. Every delay was divine. Because God wasn't just preparing the blessing. He was preparing you to carry it without losing yourself. This is why you don't move like others do. Why you don't spend recklessly or chase applause. Because you understand the weight of what's in your hands. You're not here to impress the world. You're here to execute heaven's agenda. And heaven's wealth requires heaven's wisdom. That's why God has been refining your appetite. What used to excite you no longer satisfies. What once distracted you now feels empty. That's a sign that you're maturing, not just financially, but spiritually. Because real wealth always starts with what you value, not what you spend. And now your values are aligned with eternity. You're not chasing the symbols of success. You're establishing substance. Your peace is unshakable. Your clarity is sharper. Your inner world is no longer in conflict, That's the fruit of divine wealth, not just an increase in possession, but a revelation of purpose. You'll start to recognize new doors, not just open ones, but the right ones. God is not giving you everything. He's giving you exactly what is aligned. And with each new opportunity, you'll feel the confirmation in your spirit. No striving, no forcing, just flow. And as the flow continues, God will trust you with more. Not because you're asking for it, but because your current obedience is creating capacity. You're not just receiving to spend, you're receiving to solve, to send, to sow into places others abandoned, to water ground others declared too dry. You're a financial intercessor now. Heaven will use you to answer prayers you've never even heard. That's what this season is about. Becoming the kind of person who doesn't just thank God for wealth, but becomes the proof of it. You are walking evidence that God can trust someone with influence, with abundance, and with humility at the same time. The enemy hoped wealth would make you distracted, but all it did was make you more disciplined. This is what true promotion looks like. Quiet, steady, unshakable. No noise, just impact. No chaos, just clarity. And even when others don't understand how you're rising, you won't need to explain it. The river will speak for itself. So stay faithful. Stay wise, stay yielded. The flow hasn't peaked, it's only just begun. Soon you'll realize that what looked like a financial blessing was actually a spiritual repositioning. God never intended for you to just have more. He intended for you to live from a completely different place, a place where lack no longer lingers in your thoughts, where fear no longer echoes in your decisions, and where urgency no longer drives your actions. You are now operating from overflow, not survival. And that shift changes everything. You're no longer thinking, will there be enough? You're now asking, where should this abundance flow next? Because wealth in the hands of the righteous is never stagnant. It moves, it lifts, it restores. And as it flows through you, your discernment will sharpen even further. You'll begin to identify what aligns with your assignment and what doesn't. Every opportunity will come with clarity. You'll know when to say yes, but more importantly, you'll have the grace to say no. No to distractions, no to detours, no to anything that seeks to compromise the purity of your calling. This is what it means to be trusted, not just with money, but with authority. You carry spiritual influence now, and it shows. The atmosphere shifts when you walk in the room, not because of your status, but because of your surrender. That's the difference. Your posture hasn't changed with your prosperity. And that's why God is pouring more. Not everyone will understand it. Some will question your rise. Others will question your motives. But you don't answer to assumptions. You answer to the assignment. And the assignment is bigger than appearances. This is not about impressing the crowd. This is about establishing a new standard. A standard where wealth walks in wisdom and increase walks in integrity. You'll build things no one saw coming. Fund initiatives that governments neglected. Plant seeds in soil others ignored. And it won't feel like pressure. It will feel like purpose. Because the grace has already been released. The provision has already been prepared. The only thing you have to do now is continue saying yes. Let that yes be unshakable. Let it rise above uncertainty. Let it silence the noise. Because in this season, your yes is unlocking more than you realize. Your yes is becoming a signal in the spirit that says, I can be trusted. And to the one who can be trusted, God gives territory. Not just land, but influence. Not just followers, but impact. Not just ideas, but execution. This is not just the season of abundance. It is the season of fulfillment. What you carry now isn't just potential, it's power. What you're walking into isn't just favor, it's fullness. The wait was never about punishment. It was about preparation. And now, with heaven backing you and rivers surrounding you, the only thing left to do is flow forward. You've been faithful with little, and now you're being entrusted with much. But understand this, the much isn't measured in possessions, it's measured in responsibility. God is not elevating you to impress others. He's elevating you to influence environments. You are not being set apart for comfort. You're being set apart for kingdom execution. This is why the timing had to be precise, why the process was so prolonged. If the rivers had come sooner, they would have met an unprepared vessel. But now every deposit meets discipline. Every open door meets discernment. Every opportunity meets obedience. That is how you protect the flow. Because now you understand something deeper. True wealth is never about ownership. It's about access. God is not just giving you resources, He's giving you reach. You will begin to notice how doors swing open without effort. People you never knew will begin to respond to what you carry, not because of who you are, but because of what's been placed upon you. This is divine visibility, and it's happening because you're not seeking validation. God can now trust you to be seen without being seduced, to be visible without being vain. The platform will never own you because the presence has already filled you. You're walking into rooms where decisions are made, and you're not there to take sides. You're there to shift atmospheres. Your presence will bring clarity. Your words will break confusion. Your investments will create openings where there were once only obstacles. You are not a passive receiver. You are a prophetic activator. And as this wealth increases, so will your authority to silence cycles. You will begin to confront and cancel what has tormented your family for generations. Cycles of fear, cycles of failure, cycles of not enough. They end with you, because where the river flows, curses cannot remain. Let this settle in your spirit. You are not walking into increase to fit in. You are walking in to flip systems. What God is doing through you will not always make sense to the natural mind, but the fruit will be undeniable. Your life is about to speak louder than ever before, not with noise, but with results. And even when you face opposition, because it will come, you will be immovable. Because rivers don't stop because of stones. They just carve through them. That's what your obedience will do. It will make a way where none existed. It will create flow in places others called barren. So don't look back. Don't look down. And don't look around for confirmation. Keep your eyes on the one who called you, the one who formed you for this, the one who anointed you not to blend in but to break through. The rivers of wealth are not just flowing to you, they're flowing through you. You are not the end, you are the evidence. And everything that comes to you from this moment on is not just for your comfort, it's for your calling. Let it flow. This is the moment where the shift becomes your new normal. No more questioning if you're allowed to have it. No more wondering if you're worthy of it. What God has released is not a temporary window, it's a permanent repositioning. You don't need to explain the favor. You don't need to justify the flow. You just need to carry it well. Because this is not just about blessing. It's about embodiment. You are becoming the living, breathing manifestation of what it means to be in divine covenant. People will encounter you and feel the peace that money can't buy. They will hear your voice and experience the authority that no title can bestow. And they will realize this is what it looks like when God provides. You're no longer navigating the terrain of scarcity. You're building in the atmosphere of abundance. And it's not just what you're building, it's how. With excellence, with integrity, with anointing. The world has seen enough noise, now they will see what it means when the righteous rise with resources. And that's why your steps matter now more than ever. Not just what you build, but how you behave. Your posture is prophecy, your stillness is strength, your restraint is revelation, because anyone can receive a blessing, but only the chosen can carry wealth without losing reverence. You are not being elevated to entertain, you are being assigned to establish new standards, establish new strategies, establish new systems that reflect heaven's order, not earth's chaos. Your hands are building what your ancestors only dreamed of. Your obedience is producing what past generations were never permitted to touch. And with this comes a sacred weight. But it's not the weight of pressure, it's the weight of promise. God is trusting you to do what others could not. Not because they were lesser, but because the time wasn't ready. But now it is, and now you are. Don't wait for another sign. Don't pause for another confirmation. Everything in your spirit already knows. This is your time. The rivers are not slowing down, they're deepening. Which means you don't need to hustle. You just need to flow. This is where peace becomes your pace and grace becomes your guide. Let them see the evidence. Let them watch the overflow. Not to prove your worth, but to point to His promise. Because when the righteous prosper, the world takes notice. And when the chosen one steps into divine wealth, it shifts more than their own life. It shifts the entire atmosphere. And so now, step forward. The rivers are flowing. The doors are open. The time is fulfilled. This is not a miracle you have to chase. It's a movement you've been chosen to carry. Walk in it, steward it, multiply it. Let the wealth flow where the will of God leads. You are ready. You are aligned, and heaven is with you.